This video was made in the August of 2024, but due to reasons it was not uploaded. I decided to upload this video now because it might still provide valuable information and knowledge. Any changes that might have happened to the game after that are not reflected and will never be updated. I think the contents of the video are still valid if and until they do a major rework of the weapon system. There are a couple of things I have to mention which I might have forgotten in past videos. Number 1. Increasing difficulty in any game without balancing the weapons and builds does not increase the difficulty. It just makes the stronger weapons and builds more viable doing the same work but better while the rest of the weapons go unused. As such, the players have always been continuously buffed over the span of 4 years, and any additional increments to the difficulty have been therefore made redundant. Number 2. Team-wide damage talents are not healthy in a cooperative game if they are left unchecked. In this game, the Gunslinger's talent of War Face stacks up to 4 times, granting a whopping 200% damage boost to every player. This was one of the main reasons why I disliked playing with a stacked team of gunslingers, because it made the game trivial and reduced the difficulty to 1 skull. This was because of the high damage output during hordes. There are still some videos from the year 2020 where 4 gunslingers meant that no horde existed, taking into account that horde zombies have considerably low HP than actual zombies. Specials died fast as well, and back in the day the game was much harder than it is now. This perk always needed a nerf in terms of stacking limit or damage.
What is the definition of a game? For a game to be a game, that it has 2 things. First of all, skill, and the second is the balance. By skill, I mean the game should have skill ceiling. There should be a difference between the gameplay of a bad player and a good player in how they play. And the only way it would be when the game has skill ceiling. If the game has skill ceiling, then the more you play the game, the better you become at the game. And if the game doesn't have skill, then it fails to be a game, it is just a toy. The other thing is the balance. By balance, I mean there has to be a fair fight between enemies and players. And right now, the World War Z Aftermath is not a game, or it is not a balanced game anyway, because the players are too overpowered on the hardest difficulty. When it doesn't have any skill or any balancing, it fails to be a game. For a game, it is very important that it has skill ceiling and it has balance. A highly skilled player would be a player who would have a good gameplay. They will use high skill ceiling weapons. They will use high skill ceiling classes. That is what it means to be a good player in any game. A good player doesn't mean that they die less or they clutch or they survive longer. That is all is important. But the most important thing, what defines to be a good player, is whether or not they play the game fairly. And if they play the game good enough using high skill ceiling weapons and high skill ceiling classes. So moving on to the tier list, we will start with the bad stuff in the game. We start with the low tier weapons and then we move along higher tier weapons. So the bad thing in the weapons are these things: flare gun, pistol, PDW, combat shotgun, ECW, light machine gun, assault shotgun, goncho, chainsaw with infinite cleave, crossbow, friendly fire, and a lot of other stuff, rocket launchers, and the thumper. The pistol and the PDW would be a bit higher tier if they didn't have masking effect, but I'm comparing and combining all of the perks and making a tier list. Before the update, before the weapons update, the pistol would be A tier and PDW would be somewhere D tier or something. But if they have masking, if any weapon has masking or invulnerability in them, they will be instantly put in the gross category, the tier, the bad category, the trolling category. And all of these weapons are normally used by bad players because they make the game easy and you can solo the entire game by yourself using all of these weapons. Or you can troll other players and cause them friendly fire and hurt them. And I think it is all self-explanatory why I put all of these weapons. They are really broken, they are overpowered. If the game is gotten rid of all of these weapons, it will be a better game. for sure it will be a balanced game. Next, the D tier. The D tier is basically where the weapons are not strong, they are underpowered, but they do not enable high skill gameplay anyway. So these are the weapons like the SMGs, which are spray and pray guns. All you do with SMG is spraying and praying, you do not have to aim. The more you spray, the better you get at killing enemies. But they are not doing damage anyway, so they are kind of underpowered. So these are the weapons which are underpowered and they do not enable any skill ceiling or any skill in the game. That is why they are in D and the cringe category. If you start using this weapon, you will be cringe, your gameplay will be cringe, because you are neither doing any damage nor enabling any skill gameplay. And the other thing I want to talk about is a balanced weapon doesn't mean that it will have high skill ceiling, and a high skill weapon doesn't mean that it will be a balance. It doesn't really equate, they are all different things. But I'm making this tier list more or less considering both of these aspects. That is why I have to put them in D tier. And you have machine pistol here as well. Nothing is, it's not really overpowered, and it is not really high skill gameplay anyway. If you start using machine pistol, the deagle has explosive ammo and lot of dumb perks, and it is not overpowered anyway. It has high recoil. It will cause lot of friendly fire if you have that AoE effect with the explosive ammo. The repeating rifle is useless on hordes and stray zombies, but it is quite overpowered with specials. So it is in cringe category because it is only killing specials with high power, but it is not killing the horde at all. It is a very weird and a meme weapon. That is why I put it in D category. The D tier is kind of a very cringe thing. I do not mind them in the game. It doesn't really cause trouble to other players as well. Next we move on to the C tier, and you will find these weapons to be a bit highly skilled, like a bit more skill in these weapons, but they are not balanced. They are slightly overpowered. Like if you consider like the AK, it is right now very overpowered gun. Before the weapons update it would be like A tier or even B tier, I don't know, but right now it is in C tier because it is very overpowered gun. You can solo a lot of maps with it. I don't really like soloing a game which is cooperative. Next is like the double barrel shotgun. It has very high recoil and it has huge crosshair, and you just have to spam shots, and it has high damage, so that is why it is in C tier. It is okay, whatever. The payload rifle doesn't require aiming. It would be higher tier if it required aiming, but right now it's like you can body shot kill bulls and infectors with 2 shots. It's kind of lame. It is slightly overpowered. It's kind of needs nerfing in a way that you don't reduce its damage, but you need to headshot a bull to kill it with the payload rifle. Then it would be in A tier, but right now you just have to body shot and kill it and spam shots on horde. I see a lot of people spamming shots on horde with the payload rifle, which is why it is whatever. Like it is slightly enabling skill, but it is not really high skill at all. Next we move on to the B tier. The B tier is basically no skill, but they are balanced. There is a weapon, this is compact shotgun. It is not balanced, it is slightly unbalanced. It has to be nerfed. It was balanced before. That is why it is in B tier. It will be A tier if it was balanced like before. But right now it has a lot of ammo capacity and it doesn't require aiming. That is why it is in B tier. The flamethrower and the heavy shotgun, they do not enable high skill ceiling. They are good at staggering enemies. There are a lot of stagger in them, but they are heavy weapons, so whatever. They don't allow skill, and they are not unbalanced either. That is why they are in B tier. Like they are not bad. The shotgun, it is not really overpowered, but it allows a bit of skill. You have to time your reloads and shots, but you do not have to headshot enemies. So it is kind of B tier. I can't put it higher tier anyway. Like the fletchets is kind of better in that regard where you have to headshot. So yeah, it would be like a B plus tier, I would say, the shotgun. Next, we move on to the higher tier list, which is the A and the S. Now, as we move along the higher tiers, you would start noticing more of the rifles, and you would start noticing that you have to aim. You will start noticing that they will be less preferred by bad players. You will start noticing a skill difference in these weapons. You have to take more effort to use these weapons, and they are slightly more balanced as well. So this is A tier, S tier are the weapons which are mostly used by good players. A good player will always start using, and they will consistently use these weapons because they want a fair fight. They want to use their aiming and skill in the game. And these are the weapons which are used by good players. So we talk about like scout rifle. It is not insanely overpowered. It is not that good either, so I would like to put it in A tier. At best it will be like A plus or somewhere. It has a bit of aim assist advantage on it, that is why I don't want to put it a higher tier, in the higher tier as well. Machine gun is where it is, like, I don't know, it's a heavy weapon, so it can't be S tier anyway, but it is not really overpowered that much, so it is A tier. The revolver is like, it is body shot killing normal zombie. I don't really like that, but otherwise it requires aiming on the specials. It doesn't have too much damage and it requires aiming. It doesn't have like huge aim assist advantage either, the bullet magnetism which I'm talking about. That is why it is A tier. I can't put it in S tier as well. It is alright, I would say. It is not that unbalanced, or it is not overpowered either. The sniper rifle is kind of fine, but it is kind of unusable because of the bloom effect when you do not use the scope. And once you start using the scope, you can't look around much, but it is kind of good to use. It is fun to use, but it is alright in A tier. I wouldn't put it in S tier just because it has insane amount of aim assist effect on it. Like the bullet magnetism on the sniper is insanely strong, and even if you don't use aim assist, you're kind of, it doesn't allow good gameplay because of the vision deficiency which you have while using the scope, which is why I can't put it in S tier. But it is where it is, like it is fine where it is. Like I don't want to be changed. Like it is great weapon anyway. It allows cooperative gameplay. It is fine. Next, the carbine is slightly overpowered, but it is fun to use. It is slightly overpowered, that is why I want to put it in A tier. If it were to be a balanced weapon, I would put it in S tier. Other than that, it is fine. Next, we move on to the S tier class. This is where you start to notice the older weapons and the really good weapons from the start of the game in the old times and when the game was balanced. And these are the weapons used by the veterans and the really good players from the old times since the game was released. And they have a high skill ceiling. They are more or less balanced. That is why they are in S tier. So we talk about the sporting carbine. I want it to be nerfed a slightly bit, but it is fine. That is why it is in S tier. It requires aiming. It requires ammo conservation. And it is fine. It enables cooperative gameplay. Slightly nerf wouldn't be bad either. The classic bullpup is fine. Requires aiming and ammo conservation. You can't spam a lot. It is burst fire and it has slightly higher aim assist or bullet magnetism in it, so that is why I'm not putting in S plus category. Next up is CBR. It's always been a great weapon since the release of the game. Great skin and everything, and it actually punishes you if you go in full auto mode by giving you a lot of spray and recoil, which I really like. So it is kind of forcing people to use like in semi-auto mode even if you have full auto mode. But it's a great weapon, good sound, and they kind of ruined the sound by the way in the aftermath version, but before it had a great sound effect as well. That is why it is in S tier. It is where it is fine where it is, it can't be in S+. The bullpup tier 3, it has insanely strong aim assist and bullet magnetism, that is why it is not in S+. It is slightly overpowered with penetration, but it requires aiming, it enables high skill gameplay. You will start to notice the difference, and you will notice the gameplay difference between a good player using the tier 3 bullpup and a bad player using tier 3 bullpup, which is why it is in S tier, a best weapon. The next up is MGL. MGL is a great weapon for landing and bouncing your shots if you do not use impact nades on Hellraiser. It is really great, and it feels nice to bounce the grenade shots on bulls and infectors. But it allows a bit of spamming as well, that is why it is not in S+. It is fairly balanced, it is fine where it is. It is really good heavy weapon. I think it is the best heavy weapon all around. Not really unbalanced as well. The next category, the best category, the S+ category, is the best weapon in the game. Before the update, it would have been somewhere in the C, or even, I don't know, it would be somewhere in the D or C category. But after the weapons update, they nerfed the battle rifle tier 3 and it made it balanced, which is why right now it is in S+. It is the best weapon in the game. You will only find the best of the best player using this weapon, which is at the moment like me and one or two other people which use the golden version of the semi-auto battle rifle tier 3. And a lot of people complain about this gun. Only the bad players will complain about this gun because they can't play the game. They can't conserve ammo, they can't go for headshots, they have bad aim, they have really terrible aim, which is why they will start complaining about the tier 3 battle rifle being a bad weapon. But it is actually the best weapon in the game because it allows high skill gameplay. Your shots will land exactly where you shoot. Aiming will matter a lot for this weapon. The better you are at aiming, the better you can use this weapon, and the better you get in ammo consumption. And if you turn off the aim assist, the better it becomes. And it also enables cooperative gameplay because it is balanced weapon. You can't spam ammo, you do not have infinite ammo. And I have several videos of this playing, me playing with this weapon, and it is fine. Like I've been carrying people with this weapon without any issues. Like I don't really run out of ammo because I can conserve ammo and there are other sources of ammo regeneration. So I really don't find this weapon bad anyway. Like this is not a bad weapon. This is a perfect weapon in the game. It has a perfect skin. It is the perfect skill ceiling and it has everything perfect in it. That is why it is the best weapon in this game. It is a S+ weapon. Nothing can match this weapon. There is no weapon which can outperform this weapon. It is the best weapon. And with that, we come to the end of the tier list. Unfortunately, the game isn't a game because of all the lack of skill and the balance, but ultimately, if you're looking for skilled gameplay and balanced gameplay, start using the S+ S class weapons, S tier weapons, and you will find yourself in a very good spot. You will enjoy the game, you will feel satisfied with your gameplay, you will start to use aim in the game, and you will start to play the game cooperatively. And that is my hope, that is my dream, to make this game with balance and skill based, where the fun will be. I really don't want all this gross trolling stuff in the game. It should be gone. But unfortunately, I at least make this only allowed in private lobby, you know, like if you are allowing these weapons, just make it private game, man. I really don't like trolling in public games with all the bad stuff. Only the good stuff should exist, and by the way, the good stuff is very rare, by the way, as you can see. Lot of the weapons are just roll weapons. As you move higher up the tier, you will see less and less weapons. But it is what it is. The best things in life are rare. The best things in the life are what people complain about.